So I graduated from BYU, Idaho, and I had no prospects when I graduated. I had a best friend that was at BYU, and he invited me to help him co-found a software company called Property Solutions.
Okay.
It's become Entrada.
Okay.
So Entrada's right above Adobe.
Yep.
So I was there for 12 years and grew it, and it's $1 billion company. It's been insane. It was amazing growth. But just randomly after 12 years, we were on a rocket ship, and I just decided to step aside and shocked my partner, shocked myself, shocked my wife, and just said, it's time to do something new, and had no clue. Went and interviewed with a bunch of VCs around here, and other entrepreneurs, just trying to get an idea of what do I want to do next? And one of the ideas that was presented to me was Homey. And so I kept stewing on that, and eventually felt like that was the best decision and the next step for me, and chose to start Homey in 2015 with the guy whose idea it was Mike Peregrini. He's now my co-founder.
Oh, brilliant.
And then I brought in one of my old co-founders from Entrada.
Oh, wow.
So that's our little crew.
Hello, my name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. I am a stay-at-home mom comedy/commentary channel, doing more of the commentary lately, and today's video is a big one. I've been doing deeper dives into the Connexions classroom staff, I guess is what you could call it for now. So check out my first video in this series, which is all about Pam. Who is Pam Botcher? And today's video will be all about Johnny and Paige Hanna. Johnny Hanna graduated from BYU, Idaho in 2003, and Paige Hanna, previously, I don't know her maiden last name before this, but she graduated from both Southern Utah University and Utah Valley University from 2003 to 2005. So Johnny and Paige Hanna married in 2006, and 2 years later welcomed their first child, and later had 5 more children. So as we all heard in the intro there, Johnny worked at Entrada, which is a company above Adobe, which is absolutely massive. He worked there from 2003 to 2015, so for 12 years. When I was looking up Entrada a few weeks ago, I saw that they are a company that deals with rental properties. So not people who buy, like his next company, but this one was about rentals, and he has such a passion for helping people rent, which is kind of cool. He then went on to doing real estate, as in buying and selling houses, so not the rental market, but just buying with a friend. He did that in 2015 to 2021. So he did that for about 6-ish years. So obviously Homey's first location was in Utah, and then they slowly started expanding to other states. So they went to Colorado, Nevada, Idaho, and Arizona. So you may be wondering, like I was, is how does Connexions Classroom, how does Jodi come into play when it comes to Homey? So according to this interview that Johnny did, he and his wife sought out counseling from Jodi and Connexions in their marriage prior to implementing it in his business. So I guess not every marriage that Jodi counsels breaks up. And so I think this has to do with their level of authority in the world. Johnny and Paige seem to be people who are very well and sure of themselves. They don't look like insecure people, and they never present themselves in interviews as insecure. And I'm not saying that other people who sought out her counseling are, but maybe she liked to attack men that appeared weak in her eyes versus men that had authority and were strong, because from learning about Johnny, he does not seem to be someone who can be easily pushed around, but you never know. But again, this also doesn't mean that Jodi didn't have her hand in them separating at some point, because like we saw in a previous video of mine with KUTV, there was a high-level executive that lived in an apartment because he believed he was in a danger to his wife and his children. So this could have been Johnny, who knows? So this may be confusing to people, because all we've ever heard is that Jodi has counseled couples and families. But Jodi also does counseling for leaders within her community. So the packages are quite insane. So her packages for businesses range anywhere from $800 to $15,000. And besides accessing her YouTube channel and then support from a Connexions leader, the first package starts at 6 individual 1.5-hour sessions with a certified trainer. So that doesn't mean that that's with Jodi. That could be anyone. The next package jumps up a whole $4,000 extra, and you get 6 team sessions. So 1.5-hour sessions again, but for your team, and then nothing else is different. For the $15,000 package, you get 6 executive team sessions, 6 mid-manager sessions, and 6 company-wide sessions. So did anyone else notice those numbers there? 666. I was raised Christian, so I don't identify with that now, but for me that 666 is the mark of the beast. That's what the Bible says it is. It's very an evil, satanic number. If you're raised in any religion, you probably totally know what I'm talking about, but how ironic. Is it ironic? Was that done on purpose? in this interview that Jodi did, towards the end, it says that after seeing the benefit that so many of her clients had, she decided to focus solely on the principles and began a mental health coaching program. So not just her counseling that she was doing for many years before, but her coaching program, which is the thing I just showed you. So at the time of this interview, my guess is that Johnny Homie was their biggest client. I know they have other massive clients, which I can dive into in another video that I have found. Johnny goes on to say that he has seen incredible improvement in working relationships among his employees, and the program has helped them understand how to consider problems from a different perspective and communicate effectively. So according to the timeline of this interview, he started his business in 2015 and then implemented Connexions in 2020, because he goes on to say in this interview that the pandemic really had an effect on people's learning and just how his team operated. So it must have been that they implemented it during the pandemic because of the problems that they were having, which means he would have sought counseling from her even before then. So all this timeline of all these men had to do with that, right? So you may be wondering, like I was, how does it go from Johnny and Paige getting counseling for their marriage to then him implementing it with his business to then here we are in their first annual women's conference with Connexions Classroom. They are on the panel speaking. So how does that even happen? Well, I was listening to the Mormon Stories podcast, as I've been telling you guys a lot. I've been really referencing that interview that they did with Adam Steed. Well, I learned in that interview this, which triggered in my brain the thing I shared with you guys with Pam and doTERRA at the MLM.
It's obvious to me that multi-marketing level therapist Jodi Hildebrandt.
So that may sound like a flippant comment to a majority of people, but after what I've learned about Jodi and then seeing all these connections of how many people are in her Connexions Classroom mentorship program, I think that she uses this program as an MLM type structured program. So yes, she does do counseling for individuals and couples. And then she also mentors people within their businesses and then personal people who have their own coaching company, who have their own social media program, like Jordan Page. I found connections there, which I can put on the screen here, of somebody who follows Connexions Classroom. She has her own coaching business and she has sought out the help of Jodi, allegedly, I have to say, for her coaching business. And then that person is connected to Jordan Page. I can't look up Venmo like how YouTuber Headlines did. So I can't find the information because I'm in Canada. But what it looks like to me is that Jodi has structured her business in an MLM style. So these people have, it's like when you get your certification for, say, personal training, you're not going to university, but say in Canada, there's something called like CAN Sport or something where you can get your certification and you can work at gyms and they like that certification program that you use, like they want you to use that program. So my perception here, my understanding is that these people have sought out coaching from Jodi and then they have their own business and they are then using the mentorship program that Jodi has had. So that she probably gets some sort of kickback with that as well, obviously, besides the ongoing coaching that maybe they do with her or the initial coaching that they do with her. But there are a lot of companies that I've found now that have used Jodi, and I can't look up Venmo, so maybe YouTuber Headlines can look more into that, or maybe someone in America can look up the Venmos, send them to me, or someone else can just do their own video talking about it so they can really solidify these businesses that I have found that are paying Jodi. But I can only say allegedly, and it's not just Instagram follows and that sort of thing that I have found. I've also found other connections, like this person knows Jodi, is friends with her, and then they're connected to this person, they work at this company, like a mental health facility. There are a lot of connections. Like, it's insane how many people actually have worked with Jodi and are in connection with her. Like, I will say, I don't know, personally, individually, people that I have looked into, maybe like 50 people. Like, there's a lot, and I've been doing this for weeks. This is why I've not come up with a video. Like, I'm trying to really prove that what I'm saying is true, where it's not just alleged, where I can see like, okay, yes, this connection is valid and true, but I can't make a video on it because I don't see it, right? So I've been sitting on all this information, and I'm surprised that other people are starting to look into Connexions staff. Like, it's taken quite a while for other people to do this. I've been doing it since the beginning, which is why I know a lot of information now. So back into Johnny, I've been doing my thorough research trying to figure out what is going on, because Friday, September 21st, 2021, he laid himself off, and his excuse was, I'll just
this real estate market is horrendous.
So this is one of many times that my alarm bells went off when it came to Johnny Hanna, because that is just so weird to me for a real estate agent to say that the market is horrendous, because we all know that during the pandemic, houses sold and were bought extremely fast. It's still kind of hot right now. It is dying down really a little bit now, but it was so hot. Like, what real estate agent says that? Especially he was the head of the company. Like, he was making bank. That's such a weird thing for someone to say.
And that's what my company focuses on, is real estate. And so, on, let's see, was it Friday, the last Friday of September, I had to lay a lot of people off, including myself.
Yeah.
And so that was just really difficult.
Can't
it was,
imagine.
yeah. And I've been through that a few times before where I've had to lay people off. Laying myself off wasn't as hard. But the next day, I just talked to my wife and said, hey, let's get out of here.
Okay, so what we learned here and what he will go on to say is that he laid himself off on the Friday the 21st. The next day, Saturday, they decided to just go on a trip. And then 2 days after that, decided, okay, we're going to leave now. So they went for 34 days. So at first I thought, I was along the lines of thinking like, okay, Jodi probably blackmailed him to get out of here really quickly. And like, where are they now, right? Because I also wrote they have a 15 passenger van. Because I went to their Instagram where that's where they decided to share on a joint account their travels. And then the last post from their travels, it says day 16, but it was December 31st, 2022. So in my brain, I was like, wow, so they traveled a long time. But then when I found this interview, he had said they were gone for 34 days because one got sick. And then when one kid gets sick in a family, they all get sick. So then decided to just come home. But that was after 34 days. So I don't really think he left because he got blackmailed by Jodi, because that's originally what I had thought. But then just a couple of days ago, I found out he has a second LinkedIn profile. This one says he was in Mapleton. His other one has all his like homie information on, but then I could see that it had this interesting pink background and that photo looks like an employee photo. So then I found this photo, which is the same color scheme, and it says funnel leasing. And if you look really in there, I can zoom in, there's Johnny's photo. He's one of the employees. And then I went to their website and confirmed that he is indeed, I think the COO, but he is an employee there. Funnel leasing is about rentals. So he was in the rental market, then went to the buying market, and then went to the rental market. Then I wanted to find out, when did he join Funnel? And according to this website and many others, Johnny Hanna joined Funnel May 31st, 2023, is at least when the announcement came out. So this means he was unemployed in quotations for 18 months. And then if we know, we've seen a lot of videos coming out now of Johnny and Paige with Jodi's business. And then, so I believe that he had their mentorship program. I don't know if they were doing mentorship for her while he worked at his big company, probably not. But it seems like for this 18 months, he wasn't just off living with his family, which is what he claims online in interviews and stuff, that he's just hanging out with his family. He was definitely doing Jodi's classroom connections, business, conferences, coaching men. I bet you he was part of the coaching men groups. So I thought it'd be fun to mention a few people who have sold their house with Homie. This one YouTuber headlines mentioned, but Jordan Page did, as well as Kevin and Ruby, but that one's not surprising. But look who else did.
We are no longer homeowners, we just sold it and we are done, but to Homie and get a discount code to share with you guys. So if you are in Utah or the surrounding states and you are selling your home, you can use the code Deru for $500 off. So instead of $3,500, it would be $3,000 to sell your house.
This is hilarious to me, and I also wonder how much do they actually know about what's going on, because they're connected to these people. Yes, Johnny was no longer at Homie during this time because this was just in July, but still. So that is all I have for today's video. This is definitely going up in the morning. It is quite late at night right now, but I hope wherever you guys are, you're having a fantastic weekend. Bye, guys.